getting really old. It doesn't make any sense. Yeah, this is really stupid. Sorry, like 2 stars, man. This sucks. I think they just like kill his family or something to get rid of problems. I don't know. It's confusing. This is the last paragraph. I'm confused. You are just now realizing the implications of your wish, aren't you? Cute. Never going to be able to ask that girl out. Never going to be able to tell your mom you love her. To them, you never existed. To them, you don't exist. And on this note, it may be nice to hear. Think about the consequences of your actions before you take them. Have fun with your limitless life, if you can even call it that. What a waste of time. the voice of this is so annoying. That's horrible. Why does it sound like some like weird why does this sound like some kind of strange this sounds like one of those like edgy yeah, I'm trying. It's like one of those edgy fan fictions. Too deep for you. Let's look for more. Gosh, okay, let's look for worst writing. Let's look for the worst writing possible. Like, it needs to be bad enough to be entertaining. That was just boring, the most horrible slow pacing. This one looks kind of amusing. We could start out this one. Anna woke up that morning to the sound of her phone's alarm clock jolting her from what had been another night of strange dreams. Usually, most dreams drift from consciousness the minute you wake up, but Anna had one reoccurring dream which was always so real she was beginning to think that one day it may come true. While always a good student, during her first couple of college years, she did have a propensity to skip a class or two, and this ongoing dream was just one way of her good old New England guilt tapping her on the shoulder and saying, "Bad girl." In the dream, she was walking on campus trying to find her sociology class. Normally not a big deal, but in her dream, because she had not been to class since the first day of school, she couldn't remember what building the class was held in. What made it worse was that when she finally did find the class, there was a test being given and she had no idea what the test was on. With the professor staring her down like a gunslinger in Dodge City. What is that? She was stricken with panic until she woke up, breathing with a heavy sigh of relief. Her first thought was, Will I be having this dream the rest of my life? Sure would be a shame for a person who will be changing my Sure would be a shame for the person who will be changing my adult diapers in 50 years has to deal with the post-dream results. One thing was for sure, next semester things would be different and her days of cutting class would be nothing more than a distant memory. Let's fast forward and see if we can find something interesting in here. No, there's not really anything good here. Whoever put this chain here did so for a good reason. Her normally calm and pleasant demeanor changed, and her face contorted in an all-consuming anger, her nostrils flaring, her eyes flashing and closing into slits, her mouth quivering. You got no business opening that door. She paused a second time. Sometimes she felt Ricky was so dim that he couldn't pour water out of a boot with instructions on the heel. Hasn't anyone ever told you idle hands are the devil's pawns? Ricky did not reply back. He just stared at Anna with a bewildered gaze. Never mind, Anna said impatiently. Look, whatever was locked in this room can't still be breathing. No one's lived in this house in ages. Whoever was put behind this door has since joined the congregation of the dead. More southern accent. Ricky? She said in a cold and incredulous tone she could scarcely breathe. There, standing in the doorway to the attic, living and breathing, was Ricky. He had almost dropped the light and stake and rushed to hug him when she noticed something off about him. His skin was pale as milk, and his clothes were covered with soil. But what worried her the most was the smell. It was a foul stench like copper and spoiled meat. To her eyes' capabilities, on one side of his neck were 2 wretched puncture wounds still caked with blood. She dithered. The next thing she knew, she found herself staring up at the ceiling. Above her loomed a solid shape. It hung from the rafters by its feet like a bat. It peered down at her with 2 fiery red irises that reminded her of burning embers. She attempted to emit a cry for help, but could not find her voice. I should have never come back here, she thought. Her only exit was blocked. Ricky smiled a sick grin which revealed 2 silky white fangs on his top row of teeth. This is a little better. Why are you eating protein shakes in the night? The thing on the ceiling lowered itself from the rafters and stood over her, dressed in a long, dark coat which only revealed the brim of its insipid face. Before she had time to think, the face of the bizarre being thrusted forward, so close to her own that she could almost have touched it with her lips. It was the face of a common man, but with sick features. It was the face of a malignant presence with a terrible human countenance. She was so petrified by the being that the picket and the flashlight fell out of her hands. She was now unprotected. It pulled her close. Its pale hand squeezed her shoulder tightly. The touch of its skin against hers did not feel cold, but instead felt like an animal's hide. Her head was drawn back violently. Seconds later, she felt a great amount of force and the tepid heat of blood flowing down her neck. Her field of vision was becoming clouded, and the light of her eyes was fading rapidly. A thought skimmed across her mind that instant. I feel cold. Her head felt light and her skin grew pale. Then a second thought appeared. What will I do now? Someone, anyone, will nobody help me? The end. Oh. Comments. They both deserved it. Well, if you wanted us to hate your characters enough that we were happy to see their bizarre combo of pretentiousness and folksy old-fashioned yammering killed off, bravo. Yikes, tough crowd. Dun, dun, dun. Can I recommend a spoopy webcomic? Sure, why not? Post on Discord. I'm tired, but I'm holding out. How spooky is spooky? Too spooky? Are you sending it a note? It's too spooky? Oh yeah, no, jump scare isn't a good idea. I actually might know the one you mean though. I think I know the one you mean.